Welcome to the MMA Freak Fight of the Week. I'm Matt Salzer. So today it's a little late, but today we are going over we are reviewing UFC 229, and then we're also going to go over the upcoming Bellator events. So the first thing that we're going to go over, so the fight of the week. I am going to give that to Derrick Lewis, who had a very spectacular come-from-behind victory, and as a result is now the next challenger for Daniel Cormier's UFC Heavyweight Championship. And of note, certain news states that Cormier may not be light heavyweight champion for very long, so we'll see how that goes. Anyways, so the main event was, of course, what everyone was talking about. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor. So the fight went exactly the way I thought it would. Khabib is just a different wrestler compared to Conor, and then on top of that, you had that part in the second round where Khabib was the one who rocked Conor. I don't recall at any point that Conor actually rocked Khabib, but so anyways, that so yeah, and then in the fourth round, Khabib took Conor down and pulled a neck crank on him, and then all hell broke loose. It's kind of embarrassing, but I found it amusing at the same time. All hell broke loose. And as I put out on Twitter, that got out of hand really quickly. Because first you had Khabib arguing with Conor's submission coach and teammate, I think Dylan Dallas, I think is his name. And Khabib jumped the cage and then jumped into the crowd trying to go for him, and then everyone's trying to separate Khabib in the corner, and then people start going after Conor's guy, or Khabib's corner starts going after Conor, like multiple guys, and it's just all hell breaking loose. So what ended up happening was Khabib's three cornermen were arrested. Props to Daniel Cormier and Luke Rockhold for going in and defusing the situation, trying to calm down Khabib. Conor was escorted out of the arena, and then Khabib was escorted out of the arena, surrounded in this giant wall of, I think they were Las Vegas PD, but so long story short, Khabib officially defended the title. Conor wants a rematch, and it's just one of those things where it's like stuff is still being sorted out. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is currently withholding Khabib's entire purse. So, and Dana White has said, depending on how long Khabib is suspended for, there's definitely going to be fines, and there's definitely going to be a suspension. Depending on how long they are, the suspension is, Khabib might be stripped of the title. Now, Dana has said something after that, saying that might not be the case, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, if he's like suspended for up to a year or more, I do not blame Dana for doing that, because that means that the belt would be held up. You can't have the belt held up for an extremely long time. So that was that. And then the co-main event, which was the fight of the night, hands down, totally agree with it, was Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis, and it actually ended in between rounds when I think it was the second round when let me take a look at that. Yeah, so it was between the second and third round. Pettis, said that he'd broken his hand, and Duke Rufus, his coach Duke Rufus, just called it off because even though some fighters have gone on to fight with a hand, like I think Uriah Faber broke both his hands and went in and still fought the entire round. Ultimately, you got if you really care about the fighter, then a broken hand, you're just gonna call it off. So they called it off. It's understandable, but it was a good fight for the short amount of time that it lasted. Those guys definitely went in there and gave it their all. So Tony I'm not sure how long of a medical suspension Anthony Pettis is getting. Tony Ferguson is definitely somewhere in title contention. So we'll just see how that goes. Then a very interesting fight. So Dominic Reyes, who's kind of been floating around, he's definitely a prospect. This fight turned into a contender. He beat Ovince Prue. He definitely controlled the fight and definitely earned that. So, and then just another one of those moments. Derrick the Black Beast Lewis knocked out Alexander Volkov in a come-from-behind victory. I'm actually, for the fights of the month, I'm actually going to bring back the comeback of the month because of that. Because you can't not bring or give him some kind of a comeback award or something like that. So, and it actually, like I said earlier, earned him a title shot because his previous fight with Francis Ngannou was, for lack of a better term, a snoozer. So, he definitely got redemption in my eyes. And then after the fight, he takes his shorts off. After the fight, he takes his shorts off. And Joe Rogan asked him why, and he said, "My balls is out." Oh my gosh, that guy is just. I think at one point he was asking where's Ronda Rousey's finances. Like several fights back, talked about how he had bowel issues. It's like the guy's he is very interesting to say the least. Very entertaining, doesn't have a filter. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, that fight got him earned him a title shot, so props to Derrick Lewis. Then you had the karate hottie Michelle Waterson fighting against Felice Herrig, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. I thought the fight was a lot closer than 2 out of the 3 judges scored it. I would argue that Felice may have actually won the fight, but all 3 of them scored it for Michelle Waterson. This is probably one of those times where it's just better that I am not an MMA judge, but Michelle Waterson definitely deserves the win. She definitely earned the win. But I think the fight was a lot closer than it was scored, to be sure. And to be perfectly honest, I think Felice could have been given the victory, but Michelle definitely did better, and she took less damage. I think Felice is still going to be significant. So then going to the prelims, you had Suerio, I think that's how it's pronounced, Formiga or Da Silva, fight against Sergio Pettis, and he beat Sergio Pettis. Really not much to say there. I mean, it was a fight. Formiga got in most of the grappling there, so yeah, that was that. Then Vicente Luque knocked out Jalen Turner. I think Jalen Turner was one of those prospects from the Tuesday Night Contender Series. I think he's definitely still got a future. So yeah, we'll see him in the future. Then Aspen Ladd, and what I would argue could possibly be considered an upset, pulled a TKO victory against Tanya Evinger. I'm kind of surprised Tanya wasn't up to form. She just didn't seem herself. But then again, over the years, she's had some inconsistencies there. When she's focused and when she's focused and fully fighting, she's, someone to be reckoned with. But here she was in this fight, she actually didn't do so well. So I certainly hope she's definitely still in the UFC. I certainly hope that she bounces back from this and gets a win. Then a early preliminary fight that I want to talk about that they showed on the prelim / pay-per-view, because I didn't see the whole broadcast preliminary card, was Nick Lentz versus Gray Maynard. Yeah, Nick Lentz is definitely continually evolving, but here's the thing. My question is it time for Gray Maynard to maybe hang up his gloves? Because he's taken quite a few punishing fights, and he just hasn't seemed quite the same. Quite frankly, quite bluntly, if I'm going to be more grammatically correct, since his fight with Frankie Edgar. So his second fight. So I don't know. I don't know where Gray Maynard goes from here. His time may be done, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, that was me talking about UFC 229. It was a good fight card. Had some crazy stuff going on. Like I said about the post-fight brawl, all hell broke loose. So that was UFC 229 in a nutshell. So, anyways, so this weekend you got Bellator 206 on Friday, and then on Saturday you have Bellator 207. So going over Bellator, no, it's Bellator 207, Bellator 208. Sorry, I'm getting things mixed up. So Bellator 207. The main fight, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. The main fight is going to be Matt Mitrione versus Ryan Bader. This is the semifinals of the heavyweight Grand Prix. Winner of this fight's the winner of the Bellator 208 card. And so here's the thing. You've got Matt Mitrione, who's kind of a middle-range heavyweight and has kind of fluctuated over the years. And then you've got Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader is a light heavyweight. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I think Ryan Bader's the more athletic fighter. I think I'm favoring him to win over Matt Mitrione, because even though Matt Mitrione knocked out arguably one of the best, if not the best heavyweight of all time, one could it's you have to take that with a grain of salt. And yeah, he did defeat Roy Nelson, but it's just one of those things where to be perfectly honest, I consider him the underdog in this fight. I don't think he is necessarily going to win. So that's just where I'm coming from. And with Bellator 207, I wish I could talk about it a little bit more. So then Bellator 208 the night after on Saturday. Both of these are also being simulcast on both the Paramount Network and the Zone through that deal that they have worked out. So then Bellator 208 is the other semifinal for the Heavyweight Grand Prix, and that's Fedor Emelianenko versus Chael Sonnen. So this, as I've been saying on the MMA forum that I'm on, this fight really comes down to which Fedor shows up, because Chael has clearly demonstrated he's still got something left in him, and he's progressed. Because he beat Vanderlei Silva in their final grudge match after however the long suspension that he dealt with. Well, granted, that was after losing to Tito Ortiz, but and they beat Rampage Jackson. So now granted, these are all basically old guys in terms of sports terms. These are basically old guys all fighting each other, but it, like I said, it's going to really depend, because depending on which Fedor shows up, are we going to see the Fedor who had an abysmal fight with Fabio Maldonado and then got knocked out by Matt Mitrione, or are we going to see the guy who just massacred Jaideep Singh? Granted, he was fed Jaideep Singh, and knocked out Frank Mir. Are we going to see which Fedor is going to show up? That's what I really think it's going to come down to, is which Fedor shows up. The one who still looks somewhat like that old indestructible Fedor, or the Fedor who is literally a shell of his former self. I mean, it's basically like whether he has more of his old self or like less of his old self is what it comes down to, I think, with that fight. So yeah, that's my MMA Freak fight of the week, and then reviews and previews. So and then also of note, there is no Ultimate Fighter review this week because there was no Ultimate Fighter tonight. So I'm just gonna trudge forward, and we're gonna see what happens from there. So I guess I'll do that next week. Look forward to. I'm gonna see if I can't get the top 10 fights of September for article out. So yeah, that's it. Be sure to like us on Twitter at MMA Freakout. My personal Twitter and Instagram handles are at Matthew Salzer. Check out MMA-freak.com for exclusive content. I'm Matthew Salzer. I will see you next time.